Bugsy Siegel was the first Hollywood gangster.
He was charismatic, good-looking, a friend of movie stars, politicians, and high society, and a cold-blooded killer.
Las Vegas would probably not be what it is today without Bugsy Siegel. His determination and his vision and his sheer will to make the Flamingo Hotel happen is why the rest of it is there.
He was always good-looking, dressed nicely, always nice clothes, nice tie, nice shirt, and always took care of his hair. I was used to it both ones, and I used to cover it pretty good.
What if you had a dream so big it could reshape an entire city? A vision so audacious it defied all logic and reason? But what if, in the end, that dream turned into a nightmare? In today's true crime exposé, we delve into the life of Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, a man whose name became synonymous with the rise of organized crime in America. As a charismatic gangster with a penchant for violence, Siegel's ambition knew no bounds. He dared to envision a glittering oasis in the barren Mojave Desert. And he was right, as it would soon become a playground for the rich and famous. Join us as we uncover the captivating story of the mobster who built Las Vegas and the dark secrets that haunted his empire. Born Benjamin Siegelbaum in 1906 to impoverished Jewish immigrants in Brooklyn, Bugsy's path to infamy was paved from an early age. The streets of Williamsburg became his playground, and it was a breeding ground for petty crime and gang activity.
He did not like to be called Bugsy. He liked to be called either Mr. Siegel or Ben.
I still call him Bugsy, you know, but I sure as hell would never have called him Bugsy to his face. I wouldn't have called him Bugsy in a room where he was attending a party either. You just didn't do it.
Siegel quickly rose through the ranks of the underworld, forming a notorious gang with his childhood friend, Meyer Lansky. Together, they engaged in bootlegging, gambling, and extortion. Much of Bugsy's success was attributed to his natural good looks. His charm and charisma were as potent as his violent tendencies. He moved effortlessly among the high society of New York, rubbing shoulders with celebrities and politicians. But beneath the polished exterior lurked a cold-blooded killer, capable of unspeakable brutality. During the Prohibition period, Siegel's bootlegging operations flourished, fueling his rise to power within the criminal underworld. He became a key player in the National Crime Syndicate, a powerful alliance of organized crime families across the United States. Moreover, Siegel's ambition extended beyond the streets of New York. He set his sights on the West Coast, drawn to the allure of Hollywood and the untapped potential of Las Vegas. This is why, despite his wealth, he chose to relocate to Los Angeles in the late 1930s. He was convinced this was where he could expand his criminal empire and perhaps forge ties with the movie industry. Not many people know that Bugsy actually contributed to the success of Hollywood in the 1940s. He invested in several films, which was rare for someone from the criminal underworld. Siegel saw the movie industry as a way to launder money and perhaps legitimize his income. During his time in Hollywood, Siegel worked with LA syndicates to form illegal rackets. He devised a plan of extorting movie studios where he would take over local trade unions and stage strikes to force studios to pay him off so that unions would start working again. In the eyes of many, Siegel's life was a whirlwind of excess and danger.
There was a certain glamour attached to a real mobster, yes, you know, and I think it in a way that, look at George Raft. Everybody knew that George Raft was a friend of Capone and everybody else down there, but George Raft was tremendously popular, you see, and Hollywood was like that, yes. Probably still is. Everybody knew that this was a very dangerous character, but he was so charming and so pleasant to know that he just didn't bother about that.
However, despite what he considered the ideal life, his involvement in organized crime cast a long shadow over his extravagant lifestyle. Because as Siegel's power grew, so did his enemies. He became entangled in a web of rivalries and betrayals, his past determined to catch up with him. In the early 1940s, Las Vegas was just a dusty outpost, a far cry from the glittering metropolis it would become. But Bugsy Siegel saw something else, an opportunity. With the backing of the mob, Siegel embarked on his most ambitious project yet, the construction of the Flamingo Hotel. But despite Bugsy's leadership and sheer determination, his bad habits would prove to be his biggest roadblock. He couldn't get out of his own way. The Flamingo Hotel construction project was plagued by delays and cost overruns. On December 26 of 1946, the Flamingo Hotel finally opened its doors. The grand opening was a star-studded affair, attracting Hollywood celebrities and wealthy socialites. But behind the glitz and glamour, a sense of unease lingered. Because despite their initial hype, the Flamingo's reception was rather lukewarm, and its financial performance fell far short of expectations. At this point, Siegel's backers were growing increasingly uneasy. The millions of dollars they had invested in the project seemed to be vanishing into thin air. To make matters worse for Bugsy, rumors were circulating in the mob that he had skimmed money from the construction budget. To resolve the issue with the hotel once and for all, the mob bosses convened a secret meeting to discuss Siegel's fate. After the high-profile convention, the verdict was rather swift and brutal. Siegel had to be eliminated. Interestingly, it was Meyer Lansky, Siegel's lifelong friend and partner in crime, who became the main proponent of the decision. Siegel was pleasure-centered and reckless, while Lansky was calculating, business-oriented, and very composed. In fact, it was his calm demeanor and business savvy that earned him the nickname, the mob's accountant. On the night of June 20th, 1947, Siegel was relaxing in the Beverly Hills home of his girlfriend, Virginia Hill. He was reading the Los Angeles Times when a hail of bullets shattered the window, piercing the darkness and tearing through his body. In a matter of seconds, the job was done. Siegel, the once mighty mobster whose aspirations were as high as his pride, slumped lifelessly in his chair.
Two cars pulled up in front of the house. The first car, after they both stopped, the first car pulled away, so it was just the second car with the triggerman in it that was left in front of the house. When the hit was performed, he ran back into the car and took off.
One of the guys hid in the fireplace, and I mean, it was just like Bonnie and Clyde. Everything was shot up.
The news of Siegel's assassination sent shockwaves through the underworld. It was a stark reminder of the brutal reality of organized crime, where loyalty was fleeting and betrayal carried a heavy price. The police questioned numerous suspects, including rival mobsters and disgruntled associates, but no arrests were ever made. The case remains officially unsolved to this day, shrouded in the secrecy and code of silence that permeates the underworld. Virginia Hill, Siegel's girlfriend, miraculously escaped unharmed. In the years that followed, Hill's life spiraled downward, marked by drug addiction and financial troubles. She eventually took her own life in 1966. In the aftermath of Bugsy's death, the Flamingo Hotel fell under the control of the mob. Much to everyone's surprise, it eventually flourished, becoming the start of Las Vegas's transformation into a gambling mecca.
The person who killed Benjamin Siegel was simply a crude hitman hired by Lucky Luciano. Simply because Siegel had been given 2 strikes, 2 warnings, and not only continued to be unreasonable, but was every day finding new things to be unreasonable about.
It's obviously that the building of the Flamingo, or Flamingo, whatever we like to call it, was not exactly approved by other gangsters and things like that. He made enemies, and that was it, I think.
Once a symbol of Siegel's failed ambition, it became a thriving landmark, attracting tourists and gamblers from around the world. But the shadow of Siegel's violent demise lingered, a haunting reminder of the dark side of the city's glamorous facade. The city's rapid expansion was fueled by a steady influx of organized crime money. The mob's influence extended to every corner, from the casinos and hotels to the construction industry and local government. The city became a haven for illicit activities, a place where fortunes were made and lost overnight. This is part of the reason it's called Sin City. Siegel's legacy is a complex one. He was a visionary, a risk-taker, and a charismatic leader. But he was also a ruthless criminal, a man who lived by the sword and ultimately died by it. Like the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more true crime tales that send shockwaves through societies. Thank you for watching.